Trine is a side-scrolling platform and puzzle game created by indie developer Frozen Byte on the PC, PlayStation Network, and the Xbox Live Arcade. What separates this game from any other recent platformer is the ability to switch between three characters: the wizard, the thief, and the knight, at any point in the game. Each character has unique abilities that you can use to collect items and reach the end of the level any way that you see fit. The knight can hack and slash his way to the end with his sword and shield. The thief can use her bow and arrow against enemies and a grappling hook to swing from platform to platform. And the wizard, who in my opinion makes this game a cakewalk, has the ability to levitate objects and can create platforms and cubes to jump upon and to knock things over or to smash enemies. Switching between characters makes this game very interesting and changes up the gameplay to create a fun and flexible platformer. While the puzzles in the game are not very complicated like they are in games such as Braid, they challenge your creativity and don't force you to use any one character. However, losing one or two of your characters can make things very difficult and might force you to return to a previous checkpoint. Instead of collecting coins or rings in the game, you collect useful items and experience potions. Once you collect 50 potions, you gain a level, allowing you to improve your character's abilities. It isn't necessary to reach the max level or to level up at all to beat the game, but improving how many arrows your thief can shoot, how many platforms your wizard can create, and how powerful your knight's sword is can be helpful. The gameplay is very satisfying and doesn't disappoint, aside from the fact that the wizard can make it pretty easy. While the story has some significance, it isn't important or too exciting. Basically, the story justifies why you were able to switch between three characters and also sort of explains why you basically only fight skeletons. In the beginning, all the characters gather around this artifact called the Trine. After touching it, the characters fuse their souls together, and then it's up to you to break the spell. Very deep, I know. Of course, storylines for side-scrolling platformers have never needed to be too deep or complex, but there's no reason not to try a bit harder. To say the least, this game is very nice to look at. Both the foreground and the background are very detailed, from blazing fires to ancient ruins to flowing water, and it will make you just want to stop and enjoy the environment. Seriously though, the graphics are very beautiful and add a nice touch to the game. The soundtrack complements the game very well also. It has a very adventurous and almost epic sound to it, which is perfect for the game's medieval fantasy style. Also, the spoken dialogue is cute and helps move the story along, and it gives it some personality to the otherwise plain characters.
Fear not, I have my sword and my cape. I am the king of the castle.
As for the replay value, a nice element to the game is the ability to select levels or to go back and adjust the difficulty, which really just makes the enemies more difficult and makes more items accessible, but it gives some incentive to go back and play again. More importantly, the game has a co-op feature that allows 3 people to play each of the characters and work together. It's very fun and naturally makes the game more difficult since you have to get more creative to get everyone from point A to point B. The presentation is probably the most unsatisfying part of the game. The menu interface is pretty plain, and the cutscenes are just a bunch of images. Of course, not too much is to be expected from an indie developer, especially when dealing with cinematics. However, despite the game's flaws, Frozen Byte puts together a great game with very enjoyable gameplay, which is the most important part of a platformer. So, overall, the rather plain but somewhat enjoyable story for the side-scrolling platformer gets a 7.5. Despite the game's flaws and its interface and cinematics, Frozen Byte still puts together a good package. Presentation gets a 7.5. With wonderful graphic detail and pleasant sounds, Trine gets an 8.5 with design. Trine is a very fun and different gameplay that gives you a lot of flexibility and challenges your creativity. Gameplay gets a 9. The co-op feature can make the game a lot more fun and gives more incentive to play again. Replay value gets an 8.5. Overall, I give Trine on the PC and PSN an 8.2. Back to you, sexy man Wes. You sexy man you. Wes. Me. You.